on BGDX.
We're going to need EMS as well.
Okay.
I'm going to give you an address. Nobody's got freaking numbers out here. Use, yeah, you get it all, man. I can hear y'all on my radio. Battery was not letting me come over. So, good now. 11? 11 Labar?
Number 11 Labar?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, number 11 Labar.
Is it going to be quarter place?
What's that?
Is it going to be Labar, quart, or place?
Yeah, it's like, what's the 95? Hey, man, is this Labar Court or place? Place.
Place, okay. And what is
Place.
EMS needed
Labar
for?
Lacerations of face. All 26, okay.
All right. All right, I'll go ahead and I'll put
All
it
right,
through.
thank you.
No problem.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
As you just heard, the 911 operator asked Detective William Whittington, "Why do we need EMS?" He says, a laceration to the face. This is what you just heard him say, a laceration to the face. The documents reveal that this Detective William Whittington of the Major Crimes Multi-Jurisdictional Task Force arrived on the scene within minutes of Keeven being handcuffed. And we know that after he's handcuffed, he's already not breathing. But on that call, when she asked him, "Why do we need EMS?" he doesn't say, "I have someone here who's non-responsive." He says, "I need EMS for a laceration to the face." But let me read to you verbatim what the document said. It says, Detective William Whittington of the Major Crimes Multi-Jurisdictional Task Force arrived on the scene within minutes of Robinson being handcuffed. Brister and Bordelon were with Robinson when Whittington arrived. These are the two agents, the two of the four that caused this. Both agents were winded and trying to catch their breath, and Robinson was handcuffed in the prone position, so he's face down. Whittington attempted to speak to Robinson, but he did not respond. After a few moments, a second attempt to engage Robinson was made, to no avail, at which time they rolled Robinson over and found an asthma pump underneath him. After learning that Robinson may be an asthma patient, Whittington attempted to conduct a sternum rub, which is a technique used by law enforcement to test the level of consciousness. Whittington then attempted to find a pulse and was unsuccessful. Brister immediately began administering chest compressions, and a request for EMS was expedited. Now, once Whittington has walked over to Natalia Phelan, when he's on the phone with the 911 operator and she asks him, "What is the reason for EMS?" he says a laceration to the face. But also after he said a laceration to the face, he also said all 26, okay? Can somebody from Louisiana drop down in the chat, in the comments, and tell me what all 26 mean? What is that code for in, y'all's industry? Remember, this is the guy that just walked away from him. He checked his pulse, so he knows he's pulseless. He knows that he's non-responsive. He also knows that there was an inhaler underneath him when they turned him over. He knows that, according to the documents, that CPR is in progress, right? So when he's on the phone with the 911 operator and she said, "Why do you need EMS?" and he says, a laceration to the face. Why didn't he say he has a laceration to the face, but more importantly, he's in cardiac arrest? Because according to the documents, he was aware of that when he was on the 911 call. So why wasn't that information conveyed to the 911 operator so they could further expedite EMS? Why didn't he say that? But he told the 911 operator, "Let's go ahead and generate an item for this. 14108, resisting arrest." The EMT, Tammy Dardar, was the first medical personnel to arrive on the scene and immediately took charge of administering aid to Robinson. She then took over CPR, and Guidry continued to assist with the breathing bag. Despite the efforts of Brister, Whittington, Guidry, and the EMTs, Robinson showed no signs of life. EMTs transported Robinson to Ochsner Medical Center on Jefferson Highway, where he was pronounced dead. Prior to EMT transporting Robinson to the hospital, they requested that JPSO search Robinson's person. As a result, JPSO 1st District Patrol Sergeant Sean Menace searched Robinson's person, and in addition to the asthma inhaler, he found the following items. So let's backtrack, and I was reading from the document page 7 verbatim. Let's backtrack to prior to EMTs transporting Robinson to the hospital, they requested that JPSO search Robinson's person. Why would EMT be requesting anything happen with this patient who's in cardiac arrest? So JPSO, Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office, is saying they only searched him because the EMTs requested that they do so before they transported him. We're talking about somebody that's in cardiac arrest. This is an emergency situation. There's no time to waste. Seconds matter, right? But according to this document, the EMTs said, hey, let's stop what we're doing and go ahead, Sergeant Menace. Go ahead and search his pockets for whatever it is that you guys are looking for. So is that what we are to believe, that the EMTs, you guys searched him because the EMTs requested that you do so? Is that policy and procedure? Is that normal for an EMT to instruct the law enforcement officers on what to do? Is that policy and procedure that they stop administering aid so law enforcement can do a strip search? Is this policy and procedure? EMTs of Louisiana, anyone who's listening has an EMT in their family, please share this video with them. I need to know if that is policy and procedure, that an EMT can instruct law enforcement, can stop their duties, what they're doing in a cardiac arrest, instruct law enforcement to search someone. About 4 days after Keeven was killed on May 12th, an autopsy was performed by a pathologist, Dr. Van Vo. She's with the Jefferson Parish Coroner's Office. She performed a forensic autopsy on him. She revealed there were signs of trauma, specifically hemorrhaging of the soft tissue on his neck, separation of the hyoid bone from the thyroid cartilage, a lacerated left vertebral artery, separation of the first and second cervical vertebrae. This is what the pathologist said. Dr. Van Vo. Based on the preliminary findings, Dr. Vo determined that Robinson died as a result of compressional asphyxia and blunt force trauma. So his death was classified as a homicide. Asthmatic exacerbation is listed as contributing to his death. Let's listen in as Sheriff Lapinto and the coroner's office hold a press conference after the autopsy. And keep in mind, Sheriff Lapinto is an attorney. He actually served as either the city or the parish attorney prior to becoming sheriff.
My name is Jerry Satanovich, Dr. Jerry Satanovich. I'm the Jefferson Parish Coroner. I'd also like to introduce Dr. Dana Trosclair and Dr. Van Vo. They are two of our board-certified forensic pathologists. All three of us were in attendance on Saturday morning at the autopsy. And that's what we're here for today, is to release preliminary results and impressions regarding the autopsy of Keenan Robinson. Before proceeding, I want to make an important point. Our examination and our investigation at this point are not complete. Okay, we still have a lot of work to do, investigative work. We still have microscopic examination of slides that need to be prepared and examined, and we also have toxicology. That process is going to take weeks, not days. Okay. That said, I don't want to delay disclosure regarding the direction in which we're heading from Mr. Robinson's family. the Sheriff's Department or the media. And speaking of Mr. Robinson's family, I want to make the point that I did meet with his mother this morning to share the results with her prior to releasing anything to the media and the public. So our initial autopsy findings, and I'm going to be brief, okay, reveal significant traumatic injuries to the neck, okay, the soft tissue of the neck. These findings are consistent with compressional asphyxia, okay, and we're confident that at the end of our process that is going to be the cause of death. Regarding manner of death, at this point, manner of death is homicide. I want to take a minute to explain the forensic definition of homicide as opposed to, there's a legal definition as well. The forensic definition of homicide is death that's caused by the actions of another. And that's the impression that we have at this point. Now, I'm not going to release any additional autopsy findings for now until our examination is complete. And I'm going to go ahead now and turn it over to Sheriff Lapinto.